What is up, everyone? I am Doug Las Vegas Bets. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Doug Las Vegas Bets UFC betting show. Here to go over UFC 324. Going to give my picks and bets for the entire card. So let's get into it. Let's kick things off by talking about the main event, the interim title fight between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. Justin Gaethje is a wild man. He's known for his fight of the nights, creating damage, taking damage. He's been doing it for years, and he's done it well. He's shown a great chin. He creates cuts. He messes people up when he fights them. Just look at the Tony Ferguson fight, for example. That being said, he's now 37, and in the last 2 years, not fought very much, with his last fight being against Figueiredo in the rematch where Figueiredo was on short notice. But he comes in here still holding the power. He's still dangerous. Still, with Trevor Whitman, they've talked about it being the last run. Meanwhile, Paddy Pimblett comes in having an undefeated record so far in the UFC. Undefeated, we know the Jared Gordon fight was what the Jared Gordon fight was. But we can still evaluate his skills. He's shown tremendous grappling. He's really quick to grab submissions when the opportunity is there, which can be really dangerous, especially for a guy like Gaethje who's been submitted multiple times. We saw Khabib and Oliveira. Obviously, those are the cream of the cream when it comes to grappling. Paddy's still good and still dangerous there. On the feet, he's hittable. We've seen the wild hair fly around. We've seen these things, but he can take a shot. He's durable, and he's dangerous himself, too. He hurt Tony Ferguson really bad, finished Michael Chandler. The guy's dangerous. And with all that, I'm taking Paddy Pimblett here. I think the price is appropriate. I think he's more dangerous. I think he's more durable. He's got the grappling upside. I think this is Pimblett's fight to lose. I think he takes this one. I think he's going to finish Justin Gaethje. I'll go a little bold and say he gets it done by knockout rather than submission. I think he's going to try and pound away if he gets on top rather than grab the neck. Next up, let's talk co-main event. We got Sugar Sean O'Malley taking on Song Yadong in a fun matchup of highly ranked bantamweight strikers. O'Malley, obviously the former champion, coming in off a pair of losses to Merab Dvalishvili. That's knocked him out of the title picture right now. Yadong Song coming in having won 3 of his last 4, including a technical decision over Henry Cejudo his last time out. They had the weird eye poke situation in the 3rd round. Had a close fight with Petr Yan before that, his breakout fight with Corey Sandhagen a while back. But let's start by talking about O'Malley. Obviously, he's a long, dangerous, sharp striker. Knocked out Aljamain Sterling to win the title. Hurt current champion Petr Yan very badly in their close decision win that Sean O'Malley got. I think obviously he's dangerous on the feet. The length gives trouble against anyone. At times, I think he's a little hesitant looking for that big shot when he isn't a clear technical step ahead like he was against Chito Vera. He could just style all day. But when Aljo put a little pressure on him, he became a little hesitant in that first round, and obviously he found the shot when Aljo jumped in. But I think if someone like Song keeps the pressure on him, Song is very aggressive. He gets up in there, he'll stay in that pocket and keep boxing with you all day. He'll fire kicks at your legs. I like Song here. I like Song to keep the pressure on. I think he's going to be the more active fighter. I think he's going to land the more damaging shots, have the bigger moments. So give me Song Yadong to take a decision. Next up, we got the heavyweights. Waldo Cortes-Acosta taking on the knockout king Derrick Lewis. And Waldo Cortes-Acosta absolutely stormed onto the scene with back-to-back first-round knockout wins in just November last year over Ante Delia and then Shamil Gaziev. I've been impressed with him, showing he's really a different fighter than his early days in the UFC when he would throw that wild overhand, the pitcher-style overhand that I guess he got from baseball. I think he's really honed in his striking. He's really messes around less like he did in that Arlovsky fight. I think he's more focused. I think he's more technically sharp, and I think it's resulting in these wins for him that we're seeing. On the other side, we're looking at Derrick Lewis, who has always been considered kind of technically overmatched, but he's had that power wild card. I give him credit because I think he's a little underrated when it comes to creativity, when it comes to setting up that power with things like flying knees, timings on the uppercut. I think he's exceptional at that, which has helped him maximize that power into becoming the knockout king. That being said, at this point, he's 40 years old. I have to take Waldo Cortes-Acosta here. If you're taking Derrick Lewis, you're just looking for him to land that one big shot against Waldo, who's proven to be pretty durable. He just went the distance with Sergey Pavlovich. So I'm going to take the more technical, more active, younger Waldo Cortes-Acosta here. And now just moved on to the main card with cancellation of Nunes versus Harrison. we have Natalia Silva versus former champion Rose Namajunas as she continues her run up at flyweight. I'm one of many who's kind of surprised that Natalia Silva is not fighting for the title already. She's 7-0. She just beat her second former champion with a clear victory over Alexa Grasso. I think she looks ready to challenge Valentina. But this is a good matchup. Another former champion who's battle-tested. Rose obviously hasn't been the same fighter at flyweight that she was at strawweight. She's past her prime as well, I think it's fair to say, considering she was a champ back in 2017, 2018. But yeah, I think it's a good test. I like Silva here. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I think her movement, her striking, she's just proven to be on a different level than all these girls in the flyweight division. I don't think Rose can mix the wrestling up enough to confuse her. I don't think Rose can catch her with one of these big power shots that she's got the great moments with, of course. So yeah, I'm taking Natalia Silva to win this one by decision and move on and finally fight for that throne that she's deserved a chance at for a while. Next up, let's talk the featherweights. Opening up the main card, Arnold coming back for the first time in about a year and a half, taking on the always dangerous John Silva, looking to bounce back from his first UFC loss. Allen's a good test. He's a good striker. He's super durable. He's never been finished. He's taken on the likes of Max Holloway and Movzar. Of course, came up short in those fights, but was very competitive in a striking battle with Holloway, and she stayed off the ground for the most part and outstruck Evloev for a good part of that fight. So this is a fun matchup. It's a good test for Silva, I think, because I favor Silva in this one. I just think he's more dangerous. He's got this physicality to him that's really hard to overcome unless you can keep up a really high work rate or land that big shot. And Allen, as durable as he is, he doesn't really have the finishing ability. I don't think he's going to go out there and take down John Silva a bunch of times. So I'm expecting a striking match where Silva does more damage. I think it goes to decision because of how durable Allen is. Historically, when guys haven't been finished, they don't get finished until they're older, and Allen's still in his prime ages. So yeah, I'm going to take John Silva by decision just based on physicality, ability to do damage. But he is hard to trust with how wild he is, so laying this price might be difficult. And in this next bout on the prelims, pretty big matchup here between Umar Nurmagomedov, looking to earn another title shot, and Deiveson Figueiredo, the former flyweight champion, running out the tail end of his career at bantamweight. Umar has shown that he's super talented. Obviously, has only lost to former champion Merab Dvalishvili in a pretty competitive fight where he just kind of got outpaced by the pace monster that is Merab. But he's got good kickboxing, great wrestling, good recoverability. Even we have seen him clipped a few times, but he's recovered well, instantly wrestled and controlled the rest of the fight. Yeah, so he's super talented. I think he's a future champion. I don't think I'm alone in that belief. And he's taking on a former champion, Deiveson Figueiredo, who remains dangerous because he moved up to bantamweight, and we've seen that power from flyweight translated. I mean, he became the first man to drop Chito Vera, hurt Rob Font in that fight. Yeah, I think he's very good, and he showed he's still got juice in the tank, taking out a solid fighter like Montel Jackson, maybe not cream of the crop like an Umar or any of these top 5 guys, but he showed he's not completely washed. He's not just anybody's gonna beat him. Obviously, the straight pick here has got to be Umar. He's younger. He's got the well-roundedness, all these attributes. But these odds are the story of the fight. I mean, I'm not gonna do it, but I can't blame anyone for taking the shot on Figueiredo. How wrong can you really be with a guy that dangerous against Umar? Again, I don't think he wins. These are big odds, though. This is a big number for a fist fight and a dangerous guy like Figueiredo. At the end of the day, easy pass for me, though. Next up, we got a fun one at light heavyweight as Nikita Krylov takes on Modestas Bukauskas. Tale of two fighters going in different directions here. Krylov has been around for a while. He's a tough out. He had a couple lapses, like getting caught in the triangle by Paul Craig, but he's a really aggressive finisher with good striking, good knockout power, and a really good ground game, good submissions. But he took some time off for injury, came back, and now he's been knocked out first round twice in a row. So he becomes really tough to trust. On the other hand, Modestas Bukauskas has just been on the rise. He's been handling test after test, like the Paul Craig test that Nikita Krylov ended up getting caught in a triangle in. Yeah, I lean towards Bukauskas here. I think he's going to use that technical, clean kickboxing. He can just avoid the danger of Krylov at this stage of his career. I think he's got good enough grappling to keep this one standing. I think he's obviously much more durable at this stage. So give me Bukauskas. I'll say he gets a knockout, second or third round. Next up, let's talk the middleweights. As a prospect, a lot of people are very excited about takes on another solid test. Ateba Gautier, it's easy to see why people are all over this guy. 3 UFC fights, 3 first-round knockouts. He's just walked through everyone. He's physically imposing. He just looked like an absolute destroyer. Obviously a little untested. There's a couple questions about how he'll last later in the fights, his ground game, yada, yada, yada. Nobody's been able to really test him there enough to answer those questions. As far as striking, I mean, he's knocked out guys who have looked really durable in the past. He's made it look easy. He's made quick work of guys who have looked really durable in the past. So it's hard to question that his power is for real. On the other side, Andrey Pulyaev is a slick kickboxer. He handled a good onslaught early from Nick Klein in his last fight. Got outstruck by Christian Leroy Duncan in a kind of pitter-patter kickboxing match. He's all right. He's just nothing special. I think if he can stay on the outside, keep range, he might look okay for a minute here, but I don't see him surviving this one. I think these odds are justified. I think Gautier gets him early. I'd caution against using him as a parlay piece straight just because of the price. And I'm not big on betting early round props on guys like this, so it's probably just a pass overall, but I do expect Gautier to get another quick finish here. Next is a flyweight matchup that's super interesting to me, as we've got Alex Perez taking on fan favorite and Charles Energy Johnson. Perez has really struggled recently. He's lost 5 of his last 6, all against top competition, but that's never a good record, and he's getting finished too. Still, you look at his last fight against Asu Almabayev, who we know is a strong contender. I was impressed with his win against Jose Ochoa, and now he's going up against Brandon Moreno coming up at UFC Mexico. So we know Almabayev is good, and Perez was competitive with him. Still, he got caught in that choke late. Tatsuro Taira, we know how good he is. Just finished Brandon Moreno. Still got injured against him. You can debate whether it was an intentional submission or whatever. He didn't win the fight. The Muhammad Mokaev fight, he was right there with a guy who's still undefeated. Just couldn't put it on him enough late. So he's shown the skill. He just has to put it together for 3 rounds. And at this stage in his career, it's now or never. On the other side, you have to put it together for 3 rounds against Charles Johnson because you can't finish the guy. And that's been the thing. So many people have put it on him early and then fell apart late because he's got this great cardio and he'll turn it up in that 3rd round. But he also routinely gives up the 1st round, often getting hurt, getting out-wrestled, getting out-volumed early, just taking too long to get in these fights. Especially against wrestlers. Mokaev and Cody Durden handled him for all 3 rounds. So if you can wrestle the guy, you can beat him. But if you can't hold on for all 3 rounds, he'll put it on you late. And sometimes that's still not enough. That's the thing. It wasn't against Tamirov. It wasn't a close fight with Ode Osborne. It's just not a dependable strategy. So with that, you look at these odds. As much as Charles Johnson's been on the hot streak lately and Alex Perez has been on the downswing, I like Perez at these odds. I like him as the underdog. I'm not sure what the decision odds are yet. They're not out at any books that I've looked at, but I'm going to like him by decision if it's anywhere near plus 300 or something like I'm expecting. So give me Alex Perez as the underdog in this one. He might be my underdog best bet of the week. I'm willing to take the chance that he can get his wrestling going, win at least the first 2 rounds against Charles Johnson, maybe box with him for a little, could hurt him even. I like Alex Perez in the spot. Next up, a matchup of pretty inexperienced heavyweights, as the UFC brought in a lot of guys. They're trying to see who sticks, I think, here. Hokit's a pretty good wrestler, comes from that background, of course, and he brings it. He goes hard early. On the Contender Series, his opponent kind of just gassed out. He laid on and finished him. But he got a sub 1 minute finish in his UFC debut, so the guy's aggressive. He's got some decent wrestling. Denzel Freeman had a slow UFC debut, kind of sat back and kickboxed after he's shown some grappling pre-UFC, but maybe it was some UFC jitters or whatnot. Didn't really have a great debut. He got the decision, but I mean, him and his opponent both kind of just pitter patter, and he had a couple of better moments, I suppose. But yeah, he has a win over Steven Asplund on the regional scene where he got a submission over him, although the experience on Asplund, he's obviously grown as a fighter as well. Yeah, in the end, this is two pretty inexperienced guys. I think just based on what we've seen, I'm going to go with Hokit. I think he brings it more. I think he's stepped up better on the UFC stage to start with. I think he's got the better ground game. As far as striking, Freeman didn't look like anything special. He might have the advantage there. So, yeah, I'll take Hokit here pretty easily, although it's not with much confidence. Next up, we got a matchup of surging lightweight veterans, as Alexander Hernandez comes in on a 4-fight win streak against Michael Johnson on a 3-fight win streak. So Hernandez was once thought of as like a failed prospect after the Donald Cerrone loss, but he's slowly put it together. You know, he's kind of solved the cardio issues. He's shown now he can go 3 rounds. He can pace himself to do damage, get these finishes outside the first round like he did his last fight to Carlos Diego Ferreira, can mix in his wrestling. So I think Alexander Hernandez has been putting it together, and he's shown he's a pretty good fighter. This isn't just a failed prospect. This is a guy who was maybe rushed too soon and is starting to figure it out. I'm not saying he's top 5 or anything, but he's shown a solid skill set. He's shown he's got the power at the wrestling to keep it competitive with a lot of good guys, and he'll take out a lot of these unranked guys like he has. Michael Johnson, on the other hand, comes in on a 3-fight win streak. A lot of people thought he was over the hill maybe. You know, he took another bad knockout loss to Carlos Diego Ferreira, previously mentioned. Now he's coming in off a big win over Daniel Zellhuber, who's young, this hot prospect. But we got to remember, he was like plus 500 in that fight, or he was a huge number. People were not expecting him to win that fight. Maybe Daniel Zellhuber overlooked him. It was a good performance, but we always have to remember who Michael Johnson is. If you're betting on him, you're betting on him to have these big spark moments with his hands and stay consistent over 3 rounds. But we've seen him struggle to do that over time. So I'm going to pick Alexander Hernandez here. I think he's more consistent. I think his cardio better over 3 rounds. I think he can mix in the wrestling better. Yeah, give me Alexander Hernandez here. Next up, a bantamweight prelim between former Ultimate Fighter Ricky Turcios and Cameron Smotherman. Interesting one here. Smotherman's kind of come in, and he's been better than I and a lot of people, I think, expected. Shown some good striking, came in, pieced up Jake Hadley. He's coming off that loss to Ricky Simone, but we know Ricky Simone's a good veteran. He's going to wrestle a lot of guys, so maybe questionable takedown defense, but he's a sharp striker, good boxing, good cardio. On the other side, Ricky Turcios keeps on that high pressure, not the most accurate striker, kind of just creates chaos as he goes forward, tries to force these weird grappling scrambles, and he's kind of good at it. Sometimes he just ends up punching air like the Amon's a hobby fight, of course. But yeah, I think this one's going to come down to Smotherman being cleaner on the feet and Turcios' ability to just keep the pressure on him and maybe force some ground moments. I lean Smotherman as my pick. I'm tempted to go with Turcios to mix in the grappling and keep the volume high, just get like an ugly 29-28. But I don't know. I think Smotherman's got good enough takedown defense. I think he's probably been working on that since the Simone fight, and Simone and Turcios aren't the same level of wrestler, of course. So yeah, I'll go with Smotherman to just be the sharper striker and what could be a high-paced 3-rounder. And the first fight of the night, last fight I'm going to go over, Ty Miller versus Adam Fugitt, 2 long welterweights at very different spots in their career. Ty Miller's young, just 6-0, coming off a pretty good win over the Contender Series, over Jimmy Drago. I think that was a perfect test for him. You know, had to go 3 rounds, used the striking, had to deal with someone that wasn't just going to fold in front of him. So I like that. I thought it was good for his development. Adam Fugitt was just used for Islam Dulatov's development as he came in off the Contender Series, knocked him out in the first round. We've seen Fugitt be a test for these prospects a couple times. He got finished by Mike Malott, got finished by Michael Morales. Did finish Yusaku Kinoshita and got a close decision over Josh Quinlan. So, you know, he's going in there to fight. That being said, he's looking very slow these days. He looks a little stuck in the mud. And at his age, I don't see him turning it around to pick things up. think this is a good spot for Ty Miller to pick up some more experience. I don't know if he gets the finish. Fugitt is kind of awkward at times, so we could see it go to decision. But I think Ty Miller handles this test comfortably and gets his first UFC win. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this first episode of the Doug Las Vegas Bets Show. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more. Leave a comment about what I can do better. I want to make these videos better for you guys, so let me know how I can improve for you, what you want to see, what you want to hear from me. And make sure to check me out on Instagram and Twitter. Last time, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.